Welcome back. Will Worsham joined us now for this week's Speaking Legal discussion. Good to see you again. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
And we're going to take a look at, you ready for this? Today's question?
You bet.
Okay, we had a guest come on our show, and he was sick, and he infected all of... No. All right. Here we go. My ex-husband, I'll get serious. My ex-husband recently moved, and I find that it is now difficult to get the kids to school on time. In the nights, they stay with him. Now, how can I change the custody arrangement so they just stay with me?
Sure. That's a good question. This is the right time of year for that, right?
Yes, it is.
So let's talk about the practicalities of this. I mean, people don't always stay in the same homes where they have been. They change homes and they move, and they usually move for their own convenience, not necessarily for anybody else's.
Right.
And so you get this scenario where the kids are going back and forth between different parents' houses, spending some nights with dad, some nights with mom, and it varies then on who's responsible for getting them to where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there. And it sounds like, if I read that right, mom is supposed to get them from dad's and get them to school.
Yeah, that's what it kind of sounded like.
And maybe custody isn't the issue here. Maybe dad needs to be one to get them to school. And I don't know, maybe dad works nights.
Right.
There's all kinds of things here. Changing custody might be the nuclear option here. Maybe you don't need to do all that. Maybe change the visitation schedule.
Yeah. Before you go any further, is this something where it's like, as you have said in different instances, talk to the other person first?
Right. That was what I was going to suggest.
Okay.
Let's talk about it. Now, ultimately, if we are going to change a visitation schedule, if we are going to change a custody agreement, even by agreement, even we both agree that needs to be done, we're still going to want to write that up. We're still going to want to go through a formal process. We're still going to want to put it in front of the judge and have a judge approve it, because ultimately the standard for custody and visitation is what's in the best interest of the child.
Right.
And so just because maybe mom and dad agree that it would be better that they just live with mom from now on, that may not be in the best interest of the child.
Yeah.
And the judge may not see it that way.
Yeah, because that's almost sounding like what's in the best interest of me rather than the children.
Right. And so we want to be sure we're always cognizant of what the standard is in taking care of the kids. Now, the process, whether it's by agreement or not, is going to be to file a motion to modify either the custody agreement or the visitation schedule.
And what does that involve?
It usually involves hiring a lawyer.
Right.
You can do these things yourself. It usually doesn't go very well. Well, and sometimes it does.
No, I understand.
Yeah, but a lot of times people will try to do things like this themselves and then have to go hire a lawyer to fix it. That's just going to cost more. If this is by agreement, this is not going to be an expensive thing to do. If it's something that you're going to be fighting about with your ex-spouse or the other parent, then yeah, it's going to cost as much money as both people want to spend fighting about it.
Sure.
So once again, we're back to let's not fight if we don't have to. Ultimately, if we keep in mind what the goal is, which is best interest of the child, we ought to be able to quickly come to at least a pretty close agreement as to what this situation ought to look like going forward.
It also sounds like if you have an attorney, the whole process is going to be much shorter than if you try and sort this out yourself.
Well, it could be, it could not be. I mean, you can always get some lawyers that'll get in there and mix it up.
Well, it depends on how much you all want to fight about
Exactly.
things, yeah.
But if you can come to an agreement, then by all means go to a lawyer and have that written up by an attorney and submitted to the judge, rather than trying to write that up yourself. That's where you might find yourself getting in trouble. In fact, you might actually write it in such a way that it doesn't really come out the way you intended it to. You may forget to leave out some contingency clauses, some like, but if mom's sick that day, then dad has to, some things like that.
Contingency clauses tend to jump up and bite you when you least expect it.
Here's the thing, whether it's custody arrangements, business plans, contracts, people that aren't lawyers, in my experience, tend to draft documents with the idea of what's going to happen when everything goes right. And fail to plan for when things go wrong. So you see contracts written by people that are going into business and it talks about how they're going to split the profits and all this, and it looks fine until they lose money, until the business fails. Well, then who's responsible for the debt? And then that's where the conflict comes, because they never decided how that was going to happen ahead of time.
And the advantage of course, an attorney is he has seen all of these things and he knows how to channel, well, to put the document together in the proper way.
The idea, whether it's like this or a business plan, is that an attorney is going to help you think through the contingencies. What happens when this doesn't go the way you want it to?
Right.
Some things like that.
It's always about the best interest of the child. Will, people want to get more information from you. How do they do that?
Our website is willworshamlaw.com, or email me here at the station, wworsham@color10.com.
Always good to see you.
You too.
We'll be right back.
Scuba training with experienced, certified instructors at Dive Ventures means you're prepared with the confidence to dive on your next trip. And be bold, explore, discover. And the adventures all start